Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Treat e-prescribing module tutorial. Today we'll talk about medication titrations and how to prescribe complex medication in Treat e-prescribing module. So titration is a process of determining the medication dosage that reduces the symptoms to the greatest possible degree while avoiding as many side effects as possible. So, while titrating a medication, prescriber might need to change the dosage of the medication for the patient um, frequently, and that is why documenting these orders could be confusing. We'll take an example of a scenario where titration of the medication is done, and we will and demonstrate how these kind of orders can be documented in e-prescribing module. So an example is a scenario is a client is starting a new medication, clozapine, and the doctor wants to start with a low dose of 12.5 milligram and see how the client reacts to this medication. The order will be written as 3 different orders. For sake of simplification, we'll start the medication on February 1 so that it is easier for us to calculate the number of days the particular dose is going to be continued. So the first order will be start on February 1 with 12.5 milligrams of clozapine once daily, given orally for 1 week. So when the client takes this medication for 1 week, they need to go for blood test on February 7th. If blood work from February 7th are within the therapeutic range, then increase the dosage to 25 milligram. Continue it for another week and check blood work on February 4th. If blood work from February 4th are within therapeutic range, then increase the dosage to 50 milligram once daily, given orally for 1 month beginning February 5th. So this is a typical example of titrating medication. The lowest dosage is continued for 1 week, then it is raised a little, or rather doubled, and given for another week, and a blood test is done. If blood test is okay, then the higher dosage is increased again, and the higher dosage is continued for 1 month. Now let's see how we are going to document this in Treat. You launch the prescribing module from the client's profile page, clicking on prescribe. Over here, we will go and prescribe the first order. As you see, this titration order is composed of 3 different orders. So we'll start with the basic or the earliest order. First of all, we'll start 12.5 milligram of clozapine once daily, orally for 1 week, starting February 1. So add new medication, look for clozapine, 12.5 milligram. This is exactly what we need. Now we have to dispense it as per the order for 1 week. Date of fill. So we need to start it from February 1. There's no renewal date because we want to perform a blood test and then increase the dosage. Next dose is due on February 1. In the instructions to the patient, we will write start on Feb 1 and get blood work done on Feb 7th. That would be a week after the starting of medication. In the same way, we will write the instruction to the pharmacy. Start on Feb 1 with 12.5 milligrams of clozapine and get blood work done on February 7th. All right, so this is This has been documented. That's the first part of our order, the first order. Now I'm going to click on save and add another because there's another order that we want to document. So the second, and you see that the first order is shown here in the yellow box. The second order, going back to the slide, is if blood work from February 7th are within therapeutic range, increase the dosage to 25 milligram of clozapine. So again, I look for clozapine. This time I want 25 milligram. This one is also for 1 week. So the dispensing number stays the same. And since the blood work is done on February 7th, so we want to start with this medication on February 8th for 1 week. So date of fill will be February 8th. There's no renewal date because there's no renewal that we want to do. Next dose due is also February 8th. And the instructions to the patient would be get blood work done on February 14th. That is 1 week after the starting the medication, and similar instructions to the pharmacy, but a little more specific. So if blood work from Feb 7th are within therapeutic range, then increase dose to 25 milligram of clozapine OD on Feb 8 for 1 week. This is exactly the order that we are putting in the system, but specified in words. And get blood work done on February 14th. Okay, so this forms the second part of our order. Once again, let's review it. Okay, so I noticed that I have by mistake, that's fine. 0.5 into 25 is basically 12.5 mg. Okay, the second order was 25 mg per hour once daily, get blood work done on February 14th. And the blood test has to be done on February 14th. Okay, now let us go back to the slide and see the third order. If blood work from February 14th are within therapeutic range, increase the dosage to 50 milligram. So that would be our third order. Once again, I'll go here, look for clozapine, 50 milligram. Now remember, the third order was for 1 month. So it could be 31 days or 30 days, however the prescriber prefers. The date to fill will be the next day of the blood test. So that is February 15th. And next dose due is also February 15th. Okay. And it is said to, I'm assuming to continue the same medication, we would want the blood test to be like, I'm assuming prescriber may want to repeat the blood test after the 1 month medication is completed. But anyhow, the instruction for the patient for this order will be get blood work done on February 14th. Instruction for pharmacy: if blood work done on February 14th are within therapeutic range, then increase to 50 milligram clozapine OD So I'm taking this off because we have already written these instructions in the previous order, and we don't know if the prescriber wants this to be repeated or not. So we will just stick to what the slide says, that if blood work from February 14th are within therapeutic range, then increase to 50 milligram. So that's the instruction for the pharmacy. If blood work from February 14th are within therapeutic range, increase to 50 clozapine on February 15th for 1 month. So that is our instructions. Next due date is February 15th. Date to fill is also February 15th. I would save this order, and let us review all the three orders once again and compare it to the slide. So the first order is 12.5 milligram of clozapine starting on February 1. That is the next dose date. Starting with 25 on February 8th and 50 mg on February 15th. That is all three orders at an interval of 1 week. So that is fine, starting February 1st and February 8th and February 15th. So this is how we document titration orders. In the next step, I'll go and submit this order. Okay, print to screen. Enter the password. And the prescription is printed. This shows all the titration orders the way we want it to be shown. Closing the e-prescribing module and letting Treat sync with the new information. So that is the first scenario where we wanted to increase the dosage after comparing the blood levels each week. The second scenario that we would want to talk about is the other way around, that the client is on clozapine 25 milligram and his blood work is high, out of therapeutic range, which is found out on January 8th. The doctor wants to decrease the dosage to 12.5 milligram, that is reduce it to half for 2 weeks, and recheck client's blood work after 2 weeks. Another complication added to this scenario is that client has 3 more clozapine 25 milligram dose remaining with him. So we would want to utilize that medication as well. Now, the order that you will have to write in the e-prescribing in this scenario would be, first of all, discontinue the 25 milligram clozapine because of the higher blood work levels that is out of therapeutic range. And then we have to prescribe 12.5 milligram medication clozapine for 2 weeks. But we've also have to remember that client already has 3 tablets of clozapine 25 milligram. So the instructions for the pharmacy would be cut remaining clozapine 25 milligram pills in half for the client, which would provide the client with 6 tablets of 12.5 milligram. And then the prescriber will request 8 clozapine 12.5 milligram tablets from pharmacy to be dispensed. An instruction for the for the patient to recheck blood work on January 22, that is 14 days after today. Let us see how we will document this in Trade. But before we start, just to show you the updated profile for the client we used for in the scenario 1. Now let us go to scenario 2. I will look for a suitable client. So as you see, this client is already on clozapine 25 milligram. And the scenario 2 was that the client who is on 25 milligram has reported blood work higher than the therapeutic range. So as I said, the first part would be to discontinue clozapine 25 milligram, and second part would be to prescribe 12.5 milligram clozapine, but keeping the remaining 25 milligram tablets that the client has in consideration. So let's do the first part, discontinue clozapine 25 milligram. So this client is on 25 milligram clozapine already. To discontinue, I click on prescribe and go into the prescribing module. I see all the medication that the client is currently on, and I want to uh, stop clozapine 25 milligram. So I click on the stop button. System is asking me for a discontinuation reason, and I would say blood work levels out of therapeutic range. And I submit this. The second part of my order, as I showed in the slide, would be to prescribe 6 clozapine 12.5 milligram tablets, 8 clozapine 12.5 milligram tablets to the client, because the client gets 6 from 3 25 milligram tablets that the client still has. So the second part, I will go and add new med, clozapine 12.5 milligram. I would want to dispense 8 tablets. There is the date to refill would be beginning tomorrow. And we want the client to have this dosage, 12.5 dosage, for 2 weeks. And if at the end of 2 weeks, when the blood work is done and if it is within the therapeutic range, we want the prescription to be renewed. So that would be a renewal date, which would be January 22. Next dose due is tomorrow. Okay, so our dosages have been documented. Instruction for the patient: get blood work done on January 22. That is at the end of this prescription. And instructions for the pharmacy: client has 3 clozapine 25 mg tablets remaining, which has cut in half to make 6. Requesting 8 clozapine 12.5 milligram from the pharmacy. And recheck blood work on January 22. And I save this order. Now, as per this slide, there are 2 orders that we have done. First, discontinuing clozapine 25 mg, and second, ordering 8 clozapine 12.5 mg tablets. When I look here, the first order is 8 tablets of 12.5 milligram, and I have stopped 25 mg. So, and I'm submit this. And my prescription has been saved. I can close the prescribing module and let the medication sync on the client's profile. So this is how we manage the titrations in Treat. Moving on to the second part of the tutorial, where we'll show you how to document complex medications in Treat. An example of a complex medication is where for the same medication, different dosages are required at different timings by the client. An example I would take is olanzapine, which is commonly prescribed for 2.5 milligram in the morning and 5 milligram for the night. So taking this example, the best practice would be to enter this medication as 2 different orders, as these pills have very specific codes associated with each strength of the tablet. So each medication has different codes, and that is why it is advisable and recommended from us that you should document this instruction as 2 different orders. The to do 2 different orders would be prescribing 2.5 mg once daily in the morning, and the other would be prescribing 5 mg olanzapine for the night. Let us see how do we do it. We could use the same client. Okay, so going to the client profile, clicking on the prescribe button, we will go and prescribe a new medication. So since we have already used this client for titration example, I would go and amend the discharge so I can add more medications. So adding a new medication, that would be olanzapine. I will look for the medication, olanzapine, oral. I selected. So as I said, the first order was prescribing olanzapine 2.5 mg in the morning. So I will select 2.5 mg orally daily. So that's 2.5 mg. And I'm prescribing it for a month, so 30 tablets. We could start it beginning tomorrow. date to fill. Renewal date will again be, so it starts from, okay, February 9th, 30 days, and next dose due would be tomorrow again. And I'm going to enter 3 refills for this. So we are prescribing this medication for next 3 months. And if we want, we could also write this as an instruction for the patient to take this medication in the morning. And I would save and click on save and add another, because I want to add the next dosage of the same medication. So again, I will search for olanzapine. This time I would want to prescribe 5 milligram, because that is what we want to prescribe to be taken in the night. So olanzapine 5 milligram orally daily. And that's 5 milligram, dispense 30 tablets. Just like the morning one, number of refills 3, date to fill tomorrow, renewal date would be 3 months from today. That will be 9th April. I'm not sure if I entered the correct renewal date for the medication I just prescribed. Let me have a look. Yeah, so I did a mistake here. I entered renewal date as 9th February, while it should have been after 3 months, because that is when we will renew this medication. Never mind, I'll fix this once I complete this upper order. So instruction for the client: take this medication. Could also specify dosage here. After, sorry, once daily in the night. You may specify before or after food depending on the medication. I don't know if it is supposed to be taken before or after medication, so I will not get into that. Next due date is tomorrow. Okay, so this is it. I will save this and I will go and edit the morning medication that I entered an incorrect renewal date. So renewal date will be after the 3 refills. That would be February, March, April. So 3 months approximately. I know there's a February in the middle, so I'm assuming that the dates would be after 3 months. And I save this. Now I have prescribed the complex medication and I'm going to save or sign it. So that's my prescription. See, I have I have prescribed olanzapine, which is a complex medication with different dosages in the morning and the night. I've broken down the order into 2 different orders, which so 2.5 is to be taken once in the morning every day, and 5 mg is to be taken once in the night. I'm going to cancel this and close e-prescribing module. So I'm back to treat and it is syncing. So this medication will show up on the client's profile soon. Another note, if we have to, like in future, if we have to update any of these prescriptions, suppose the morning dosage has to be updated to 5 milligram. So that is that at that point of time, I would simply go and update that specific order. Now you see that olanzapine is shown here. It is basically as two different orders, 5 mg and 2.5 mg. What I was saying is, in future, if you have to adjust any dosage, be it in the morning or in the night, so you will only go and update that specific order and you'll be good to go. All right, so this is it. Today we talked about titration of medications and how to um, prescribe, update, or even discontinue complex medications. The way to discontinue complex medication would be, again, just like updating. If you want to discontinue the morning olanzapine, you'll go and discontinue that specific order instead of doing updating all the orders. All right, so thank you very much, and we'll see you again on one or another of e-prescribing tutorials.